Yo, welcome back to the Morale Effect Podcast, man. It's the Morale Collective coming to you live once again. Ready to drop game, drop gems, man. We excited for this new episode of the Morale Effect Podcast, and we just gonna keep it going, man. Big Trent, talk to the people, check in, man.
Hey man, happy to be here. Glad to be here, bro. Again, that's why I'm always say the same thing. Happy to be here. Glad to be here. Excited to be here. But truthfully, man, it's a blessing to be here with y'all for another episode. Just continuously moving forward, man. Just continuously put out some content for y'all. Continuously to give y'all some feedback from comments and continuously giving y'all a sense of morale, man. Trying to boost the morale in our neighborhood and around us, bro. So I'm doing good. Hopefully, cuz just to check in. You doing good yourself, bro? How about yourself?
Man, I'm blessed, man. It's the last week of May,
Right,
so you know what that means for me.
right.
You know what I'm saying? School's out, summer's in, just straight vibes, man. We ready to get rid of the hoodlums. I mean the the great scholars that I teach. Getting ready to, you know what I'm saying, push them on out the door, man, so we can go on and do the summertime thing, man. So I'm flying high, dog. You know what I'm saying? I get 2 months off. So and you know, for those people who I always get people to be on me about that. I mean, you get 2 months off, bro. You get 2 months off, bro. You want to switch job?
Right.
Bro, no, that's not fair, bro. Y'all get too much. You want to come in? I get you a job. We hiring. You want to come in here? Nah. Okay then. We
Right.
earn our 2 months, bro. We earn our 2 months, bro. I will tell you that. Uh, it's a good exchange. Nine for two. 9 months for 2 months, and then you go a month of breaks in there in the school year. But yeah, man. But let's go ahead and dive into today's episode, man. And you know, at morale, we're all about being confident, enthusiastic, disciplined, uh, fighting that inner conflict within yourself, standing on your morals, man. Those are all the values that we hold true, hold dear. And today we want to look at we've kind of talked about me versus me before, but we want to look at it from the confidence aspect today, and uh, really want to get into this idea of like how do you how does that inner conflict impact your confidence? And so one thing I want to lead with today is this idea and concept of the inner critic versus the inner coach. All right, inner critic versus the inner coach. And so I got some notes here that helps to define and frame our conversation today. What is the inner critic? The inner critic is the voice of doubt, fear, and self-judgment. Here's what it sounds like. You're not good enough. You should have done more. What if you fail? What does it feed on? It feeds on perfection, comparison, fear of judgment, or failure. All right. Its goal is to protect you, but it does so by keeping you small, safe, and stuck. All right. Inner coach. Your inner coach is the voice of wisdom, confidence, and growth. It sounds like this. You've got this. You've done hard things before. No diddy. This is a step, not a setback. It is fueled by self-awareness, compassion, belief in your potential. Its role is to help you learn, bounce back, and lead yourself forward, even when things are tough. All right. The critic focuses on what's wrong with you. The coach focuses on what's possible for you. Anything in those definitions step out, not step out or stand out to you? Anything you want me to repeat? You want to hear again?
Let me hear the coach again.
Yeah. So the coach is the voice of wisdom, confidence, and growth. The coach who wants to help you learn, bounce back, lead yourself forward. It's fueled by self-awareness, compassion, belief in your potential. It says stuff like, "You've got this. You've done these hard things before. This is a step, not a setback. No didn't.
Um, I think you know, if you were able to tune in to last week's episode, or maybe in the week before, but if you haven't, this ties into a conversation we was having with the devil and the angel on your shoulder. Um, to me, honestly, it's a direct correlation to what would be declared a negative spirit and a positive one on your shoulder.
Mm-hmm.
So, I think the critic um, aspect of it, it's in everybody, bro. It's
Right.
not the point where no one has it. It's just again, and this is a statement that we have to follow as a collective. Is you have to again. That's one of our shirt designs. Actually, it's crazy. You have to choose which one you choose to feed. Whichever one you feed into is the one that's gonna win. So if you feed into the coachable part of you, you'll always be coachable. You'll always be able to see the good in things or be able to understand that there's progress to be made.
Mm-hmm.
But if you feed into that critic, then you ain't gonna never feel like you're capable of doing anything.
Right.
So to your question to me was, is there anything that stick out? That's what I would say. Is just like everyone is human. Everyone has the critic thoughts, but you have to be able to understand this is a critic thought. I'm I'm sure I can do it if I put my mind to it. And then that's the coachable side of it. If you
Right.
could understand that moving forward, just go into it with the full understanding that I'm gonna give it my all. If I fail, I fail. But I
Mm-hmm.
gave it my all. And I learned from it. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So that would be my viewpoint. Was there anything that stuck out to you?
I think for me, bro, is that the coach and the critic do the same thing.
All right.
They critique, but it's how they go about the action of critiquing. So the critic is trying to tear you down while also giving you they critique you, they giving you criticism, but it's not meant to build you up. It's meant to tear you down. But a coach critiques you as well, but they critique you constructively. And I think that's something that dealing with the inner, and it can be also, I think this inner coach, this inner critic can also be be fed by outside influences who serve to feed one side or the other. If you constantly surrounding yourself with people that's constantly critiquing you, um, then you know what I'm saying, you're gonna start to hear that voice, and that voice is gonna start manifesting itself within you, right? But if you're constantly in a state of constructive criticism, or people are providing constructive criticism to you, then you're gonna start developing that mindset as well. And I think oftentimes that inner critic, one thing that stuck out to me is that it is the voice of doubt, fear, and self judgment. That inner critic comes from fear, right? It comes from uh, you're you're trying to protect yourself
Mm-hmm.
from future hurt,
Mm-hmm.
right? And it stems a lot from past trauma. Whereas I remember the last time you tried to step out, you it didn't go so good. Remember the last time, you know what I'm saying, you applied for school, you got denied. Last time you applied for that job, they told you weren't qualified. I don't know if you should do that, right? But that inner coach tell you the last time, today's price is not yesterday's price. The last time you applied for that job, you didn't have this experience. The last time you applied to that school, you didn't have this on your resume. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I can speak to a recent development where I was kind of battling that inner critic, inner coach. I just applied to a PhD program at Clemson University.
Woo, 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 woo.
And
Woo,
so
woo, woo.
upon applying, I had this moment where I looked at the GPA requirement, and the GPA requirement for the master's degree was a 3.5. I ended my master's program with a 3.4. Instantly, the inner critic said, well, I mean, you might well start working on this application because you got
Bro,
everything else, but you 0.1% off on this GPA. So you might as well just wrap it up, You're gonna spend all the time doing this application but you point one off, and so you done did this personal statement, you done did this resume, you done did all the stuff the application asks you to do for what? For them to tell you no because you point one off. But then I also had the coachable side telling me, yeah, but you're not that 0.1. You're not that 0.1% though. That 0.1% doesn't define who you are. Like the rest of your application is gonna cover that 0.1%. You know what I'm saying? And so uh, I went ahead and applied. I listened to that inner coach. I was accepted. Uh, Not only was I accepted, I had the number one application. So it's like if I had to listen to that inner critic telling me, "Yeah, bro, you're not good enough. You're off by this much," and like I said, that's that. It feeds on perfectionism. If I had to listen to that inner voice telling me, "Well, this application is not perfect, so you might as well not even turn it in," I would have missed out on this opportunity. That people looked at my resume and said, "Hey, bro, he the one." But I'm looking at this one thing on my resume that say I'm not. You know what I'm saying? So that's just something that stick out to me.
It's a good point though. You can't if you check all the boxes. I know we normally have a joke about this, but if you 9 out of 10,
Bro, hey, bro, 9 out of 10, bro.
9 out of 10, bro. Nine
Hey,
out of
that's
ten.
9 out of 10. That's an A.
Right.
A 9 out of 10
It
is an
sound like to
A,
me that's a good. It sound like to me that's a good shot. If you ask me, if I'm 9 out of
bro.
10 or something,
But we're living in a world where everybody is expecting 10 out of 10 and ain't putting 10 out of 10 work into themselves. So we're projecting, hey, all these other people, bro. If you ain't a 10 out of 10, don't step to me, bro. Have you looked in the mirror? You was a solid 6, and I'm not talking about how you look. I'm talking about what's inside.
right,
I don't care how you look. Like you could be the baddest thing walking and be a 6 because you ain't got your life together. You feel what I'm saying? Like your mindset is not right, right? Uh, and I think in this world, like especially social media has like really, really created this idea of, man, nobody's putting their 6 moments on social media. Everybody in social media on 10, right? And then we kind of get wrapped up in this time warp, looking at our timeline, seeing, oh, everybody tens, but I'm sitting over here in my 6.
right.
Nah, this person really is 6. They projecting this 10. It don't really exist. And with coaching, it's like it's this inner critic idea, man. The coach, in both of them, there's room for improvement, but it's how you frame that improvement. Where it's like the critical say you're not there yet and you'll never be, or you there yet but you ain't good enough yet. Still, the coach will say, "Hey, you made a lot of progress. You've gotten there, and there's more left to do." You know what I'm saying? It's all about framing. Um, can you give us a scenario, man? Maybe like when you first noticed your inner critic, or what triggers it most, or a scenario where like that inner critic came up for you? Kind of like how I just kind of gave that analogy about me applying to the program. Anything like that come to mind for you, where you can hear that critic and coach going back and forth about a decision you should make, or an opportunity you want to take advantage of, or a new idea you had, anything like that?
For me, I would have to say my critic came about when I was doing my real estate courses. Um, More so on a standpoint, which I mean, unfortunately, my critic was partially right. This is a hard time to get into real estate right now. I mean, it's not a point where you can't still be successful, but um, I'm taking a different trajectory right now. I did finish my courses. It was a lot of information that I'm glad I took the course on. But my critic was just saying, you know, essentially what the fear aspect. when you get this license, you know you got to shell out money, to shell out this, shell out that, shell out this. And then, there's what, over about 5,000 different real estates in Georgia. And in the tri-state area of Atlanta, you got about at least 3,000-4,000 real estate agents. So, just the critic was like, bro, you're going to get in there. You don't really have time to really grind out the real estate unless you take it completely serious. Um, and I think a realistic side of this is there's a point in time where your critic unfortunately has valid points. But the point that I would say for a suggestion would be to divvy out, take the meat, leave the bones, because both of them are gonna give you the whole fish. You got to be able to decipher it. So for that instance of what I'm talking about with the real estate license, it's not as I'm not giving up on real estate. No, I'm taking a coachable route and trying to see different avenues of how to get into real estate.
Mm-hmm.
I've met a lot of guys doing ADT that has given a lot of great suggestions. Even them telling me that right now is not the best time to get a real estate license. It was kind of my pinpoint to either just put it on a halt right now till the United States decide on what they're gonna do with the market. But real estate is a vast industry. Um, Always grossing, always a way for you to get into it. So I'm just looking and reaching out to those that I've been in contact with just to try to figure out a good avenue into the investment side of it. And just overall trying to grasp how to make it a coachable point and not a critic point. See what I'm saying? I'm trying not to allow for me not going to take the test in a timely fashion for it to not sit on me as a critic, but it could still be a coachable moment. Um, but that's what I would say for me would be my point of the question you asked was um, what was the most recent scenario to where my critic or what was my critic? Where did my inner critic come from? That was your first question you asked me, correct?
Yeah.
To briefly answer that, and then I'll give the floor back to you. Like you said, I think it's an aspect of growing up. You know, when you fail, even as a kid, even as a baby, it's shown when we come into this world and we fail at something, we're automatically corrected. Now, as whether or not you get corrected correctly is up to parenting, but you're automatically corrected, and that could be a negative correcting. I think that negative term or way to correct a person travels throughout their whole life. So they know if they do something wrong, there's going to be a voice in their head that continuously like takes away the thrill in trying to fail. At some point, I actually heard this on a podcast. At some point, when you're born and we go into this world, there's a thrill in failing.
Mm-hmm.
Over time, that thrill goes away because that shield, which is our God, I done lost the word. Conscious, which is our conscious trying to protect us from knowing that even if I don't try this, I don't have to worry about failing it. But like the dude at the podcast was saying, we need to go back to the aspect of trying it. Worst you could do is fail.
Bro,
But
that's the
as
worst.
as the grown individuals we are with responsibilities, there's a lot worse you can do than just fail. You wouldn't have to go through that if you don't try. But also, not trying keeps you in a stagnant place, and there's no place to grow being stagnant. So,
Thanks.
my viewpoint on that. Um,
And I don't want you to think I wasn't paying attention. I was definitely
no,
listening
you
to what
good.
you were saying.
I
But
got you.
what you were saying, I thought came to my head and I had to capture it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I was listening to Pastor Mike Jr. He shout out to Pastor Mike Jr. Man. If you ain't tapped
Tune
in,
in. Tune
he
in.
he be on some real spill. And I'm kind of paraphrasing something he said, and I'm also kind of saying it in my own way. But I heard but to the effect of this, when you were talking about your critic gonna bring up them facts. Like your critic gonna state the stacks. I mean, the stats rather of like what's going on, why you can't hear the obstacles. You know what I'm saying? And so what I wrote was facts don't decide your fate. Faith does.
Mm,
Facts are important and shouldn't be facts are important and decisions shouldn't be made without considering them. But they shouldn't completely rule your decision. Self belief and belief in God should be a factor as well. So it's like you can sit up here and say the critic gonna say, hey, well, this is why you can't. These are all the barriers that's keeping you from doing it. And while you should take those into consideration, you should keep those facts in mind while moving in faith. You know what I'm saying? Like towards that thing. Because the critic gonna say you can't do it. But the coach gonna say, yeah, the critic got a point. But like I'll take me versus the facts any day. You
right,
feel what I'm saying? Like I'm gonna take what people say I can't do, what can't be done, what's difficult. I'm gonna choose me every
right,
time. And if I fail, I fail. Like you said, that's the worst that can happen. The worst that can happen to me is they tell me no, I fail, I'll scrape my knee, I get back up, I keep walking. You know what I'm saying? And the thing about, this is good. When you scrape your knee, the skin grow back.
right.
When you break your arm, when you fall and break your arm mends. Like so the immediate pain and repercussion you feel from failure is only
Yeah.
temporary. Like eventually you're going to be on the mend. Like everything going come back up and align for you to go and try it again. But
Correct.
now you're armed with the facts of failure.
Correct.
That's another valuable thing about failure, bro. Is that it's so much to learn in failure, bro. Like there's so much knowledge to gain in failure that you can't Google that. You can't chat GPT that. Like you have to go through it to get the knowledge in order to know how to better attack it, how to better come towards it. What's up?
And to a point to that, not to cut you off, but
No, you good.
back to that baby aspect. If we actually, that's crazy. Wow.
Talk it.
But if you actually look at it, and it's something you just spoke about, if we look at our fails from different point of views, it would continuously thrust us forward in life in multiple ways. You know what I'm saying? So it's like to the point you just said, when you fall, the skin come back. If if you if you nurture it the right way, it can happen sooner than it would if you leave the scab or you picking at the scab or you doing stuff like that.
Mm.
So if you understand the failure, learn from it, continuously allow for you to grow from that, you will heal. Wow.
Bro, you cooking hibachi. You
Wow. That's
cooking hibachi.
crazy. I ain't gonna lie. Dang, bro. Wow. We just broke through tonight. That's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah, that's real, bro. Because if you sit there and nitpick at that failure, yeah, it's gonna fester. Yeah, it's not gonna heal. Cause you sitting back there picking at, dang, I didn't do this, I didn't do that, dang, I didn't do this. Instead of getting that neosporin, treating it. Hey, look, I fell down. This is what I need to do to recover. I failed. This is what I need to do to recover. Create an action plan from failure, bro. I think
Right.
that we get so, and a lot of it's easier said than done. It takes morale to do that, to create an action plan after failure. It takes you to say, okay, boom, because you can easily fail and like shrink within yourself. Like get up in a ball in the bed and put the cover over your head and be like, yeah, I failed. But like somebody with high morale, bro, you gonna get under the hood of that failure. What happened? Why? Talk. We're going. Speaking.
Bro,
Everybody get emotional.
nah, I ain't getting emotional. It's just a lot. Like it's just
Nah.
so something else you just said right then. What would be the outcome? Because this is a question for not just Zay, but in general. What if we go into obstacles planning for the failure?
Hmm.
So here's what I mean by that. I'm going to give it my all, but I'm also going to have a game plan being that I fail. So that this failure does not carry me or does not have an overlasting draw on me, because I already know what'll happen if I don't pass.
Hmm. Well, I would say to that, bro, failure is not scripted.
Correct.
If we could predict the failures, then we wouldn't fail.
Correct. That means you give it your all too.
Yeah. And that means you just didn't go all in. Because
But
if you to me, this is just me though. To
yeah.
me, if you are predicting the failures and what can go wrong, then it's like you're limiting what you can do because you're already saying, well, this ain't gonna work because this could probably happen. You know what I'm saying? Now your calculation could be right, but but one thing you can't calculate within the facts is that faith piece. You feel what I'm saying? Where it's like I could have planned to have this failure, but this failure may not have happened if I didn't come with the plan of seeing that failure happen, if that makes sense. Like I'm already
Okay.
going into it predicting this failure. So that failure gonna manifest. You feel what I'm saying? Like allow failure to, like, you don't try to plan ahead. You don't try to plan. Students don't make lesson plans.
Right.
You feel what I'm saying? Like for my students, they coming in, they a fresh shell. They have no idea what I'm finna teach them today. They can't well, if I go ahead and try to learn the stuff that he gonna teach me before the test, I'll be straight. But you don't even know what I'm finna teach you. You feel?
So so you answered it just the way I wanted you to. That question was not phrased for it to be an agreement. I think the question was for you to answer the way it was. We can't predict a failure, but we also gotta have faith in the man above, because it's already predetermined. And if that's the case, then we gotta have that faith in him. Because if we don't, then you'll never know that you won't be able to do half the stuff you do in the world if you never go into it. There's to me, it's a 50-50 battle on everything you do. You got ability, then you gotta have faith. Because if you don't have the ability, I think some cases faith will overdraw. You can go into some things and have faith in God and it'll just work out. But sometimes you need to have also the ability to allow it to work out after God do his big one. But also a lot of stuff you got to be able to do the stuff you're trying to do, but also have faith that God gonna get you through it. So I'm glad you answered it the way you did. It's not an aspect of pre-planning failure, but I think God allows us to fail to have the learning aspect of it. If we can't learn from our failures, then we're gonna continuously. I believe God gives us tests. If we don't pass those tests, He's gonna keep giving it to us in different ways,
Hey,
almost like a school kid. But go ahead.
so look, let me put scripture on what you just said.
Right.
James 2:17. Even so, faith, if it hath not works, is dead being alone. So let me take it out of King James, what New Living Translation say. So you see, faith by itself isn't enough unless it produces good deeds. It is dead and useless. However, it's also the inverse. So that don't just mean work is enough either. Like you really have to have both, and that's something that as I'm maturing as a man, as I'm maturing in my walk with God, like I used to always use that verse out of context. Where it's be like, it don't matter if I believe God for it if I ain't doing the work,
Right.
which is partly true, but also like, am I checking my faith in God? Like, does my faith in God match the work? And it wasn't. You know what I'm saying? My work was up here, but my faith was here. So I can work all I want to, but if that faith ain't there, then that upward trajectory ain't gonna happen. You know what I'm saying? You gotta have that balance of both. And that's what I was talking about earlier with that quote. Facts don't decide your faith. Faith does. So it's like, yeah, I can put in the work to get the facts, but I need the faith to go with it to really make it happen. And it's like you can't go in blindly either. You know what I'm saying? Ah, It's like Luke 15 something. I don't know. I'm gonna figure it out. It's Luke 15 something. In the Bible, it was talking about like count all the costs. Basically, in the analogy the Bible gives, it's like a man can't build a building without counting all the costs of like what it costs to make that happen. So it's like, yeah, faith alone ain't gonna build a building. Planning, it takes planning to do that, but also takes faith at the same time. Like, so it's like you got to have the balance of both. But yeah,
You do. It's. I've actually tried one or the other, and it don't work that well. If you
yeah, you
don't
gotta
have
have
both,
both.
you will
Both.
try and you will go for days working and putting your all into something. But if you don't have faith, you still gonna doubt yourself.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we try to tell you. Like, have faith in the man up above that he has placed you here. He gives you the knowledge. He gives you the will to succeed, and then you go work. You know
Facts.
what I'm saying? So I think, bro, that's really what it boils down to. If you ask me, the critic, the coach, it really boiled down to, again, like I said earlier in the episode, you just gotta comprehend whichever one you feed is the one that's gonna grow.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Facts. Well, this has been another electrifying episode of the Morale Effect podcast, man. We was dropping some gems, bro. Y'all might
oh
want
yeah,
to rewatch, take some notes. I need to go back and take some notes because
I
we was getting some fresh insight, man, and I think it's helpful not only for y'all but for us as well.
I say I don't need no notes. That scab just that scab so deep, bro. There's so many ways you could take that. I didn't even like. I really did when it first happened. I really was sitting here like, just like, wow, that's crazy. You don't fathom, and this is another good reason why I'm glad we continuously push in our work weeks and continuously push in our lives to give y'all this content, because y'all just don't know what to do for us too. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Moving forward, just again, comment, share, subscribe. Y'all keep giving us feedback. Y'all keep giving us uh, content. Y'all just keep giving us reasons to continuously put this out for y'all. Even if y'all don't, we're gonna put it out. But still, again, the collective is not just us; it's y'all as well. So, for our fans and our family that's tuning in, we thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, share it with somebody. Uh, continuously align for us to grow. Allow for us, give us that grace for us to grow. The podcast y'all seeing right now will not be the podcast y'all see by the end of this year. You know what I'm saying? But we just got to continuously, and I think the narrative that we're laying out there for everybody, you got to start. It ain't gonna be perfect. You got to just start though. Upon you starting, you'll continuously work at it. Continuously working at it gets it to a point that you seek in perfection. It may never be perfect, but you just got to start, bro. So,
Facts.
yeah.
Facts. Well, this has been another episode of the Morale Effect podcast, man. We thank y'all once again for rocking with us. We are like Big Trent said, we're nothing without the collective, man. Like, share, subscribe, drop some stuff in the comments for us, man. Start a conversation. Let us know what y'all want to hear on the Morale Effect podcast, man. And man, till next time, peace.